Hey guys, so application season is officially upon us. As from today up until the end of May, majority of the universities are going to be having their open days and officially opening up applications. So it is the right time for you to get started on applications and just get everything sorted out. So in this video, I'm just going to be giving you tips and things that you need to be aware of and things that you need to do for you to have a successful application. And the reason why I think I would be a good person to tell you this information is I worked for the administration department for my university, and I can tell you so many mistakes that students made when they're making the applications, and at times it led to their application being denied. So please take these applications to heart. I also made a few of these mistakes. That's why I'm here, to be able to tell you to avoid those mistakes. First thing is you need to do your research. You need to find out what course you want to do and where this course is found at the different universities, and you need to check the type of qualification that each university will give you, because some will give you diplomas, others will give you proper degrees. You also need to make sure that your degree will be accredited by the proper professional body after you study. So for example, when you're studying nursing, you need to check if the university or the college is accredited by either SANC or whatever professional body that you fall under for your career. Next thing is you need to make sure that you meet the minimum requirements. I would obviously highly suggest that you go above the minimum requirements, because there's such a high demand for students wanting to go to university, so there's going to be a lot of competition for you, because obviously they take the first top students and then obviously the rest will be considered should there still be enough space. So obviously if you're above the minimum requirements that they require you, there'll be a higher chance that you'll be accepted. And this leads us to the reports. So when you're applying for university and you're still in high school, there's different reports that you can use. You can either use your end of grade 11 report, or you can use, well, they used to use the March one, but since you guys only write one exam now, you'd be using your June results. I would highly suggest that you use your grade 11 results, because you don't want to wait for June. That would delay the whole process and it will end up making you apply late, and most universities, their open days close end of June, so you might not really have enough time. So you can use your grade 11 reports, and if your high school is still giving you guys March reports, you can use that to apply. And in addition to that, watch out for the due dates for the different applications, because at one university most applications they close end of September, but some courses they close in June, some close in August, etc, etc. So you need to just look at the course that you want to do, when are the opening dates and when are the closing dates, and that will help you determine which report you must use. You must also apply as early as possible. You don't want to do anything last minute, because this might actually end up making you make mistakes that are necessary, because you're doing everything under pressure and that sort of thing. And most applications require you to have a lot of supporting documents. These supporting documents, I'll put a list over here. They would require, some would require all of them, some universities might not. And for you to get those supporting documents, for example, your motivational letters, you need to have asked someone to write your motivational letter, and some people need a few days to a few weeks to write those motivational letters for you. So therefore you need to get your dates in order and start asking the relevant people for those motivational letters, supporting documents, and that sort of thing. And it might take a while, so you need to make sure that you're doing everything in advance. Also, make sure that you have a reliable email address and a contact number, because majority of the time universities will write to the emails and contact numbers that you've provided, but because people are constantly changing them, they're not always able to keep in constant contact with the university. So if you do not have an email address, please create one. Please do not create those pretty baby 123 type. Create a professional email address that you're able to use for all your university communications. And if you do not have a phone or you're constantly changing your phones, rather use your parents or someone that you can trust and use their contact number so that that number stays for the long haul. And when you eventually get your own contact number, you can change, but you need to have a number that is in constant communication with the university. After you've decided what university you want to apply for, you need to look at what type of application system do they use. Do they use an online system? Do they use paper and pen? I doubt many universities are still using pen and paper due to COVID, but you need to be sure of what type of application system the university uses. And as a result of this, every university will give you different login details. So they give you a username and password. I would highly suggest that you have a notebook with you where you write all those usernames and different passwords that you're going to get, because it's going to get very confusing trying to keep up with all of them, because you will need to log in regularly to check the status of your application. So you need to keep those login details with you. So just avoid that whole admin drama and just have your stuff organized. Have like a notebook or a file where you specifically keep your things regarding applications, because you are going to need that file when you're collecting any emails, where you getting any motivational letters, supporting documents, and that sort of thing. You need to make sure that you have everything together, and I would highly suggest that you have everything scanned in. Since you're going to be using an online system, they'll be requiring you to upload PDF documents or pictures and that sort of thing. So rather have everything scanned so that you have everything together and just keep it in a folder with you. Once you've started your application on the online portal system, please make sure that you read the instructions carefully. I've had to encounter many students that made many mistakes on the application, whether they wrote down the information, wrong names, their ID numbers were incorrect, they missed a digit, and that sort of thing. So be very vigilant when you're doing your applications to make sure that you don't leave any blank spaces out and you give the proper information that is required of you. If you are not sure, rather take a picture of it, either email the university, or you can ask someone else who's in that university that has done the application, so that they can help you with applying, because you don't want to make unnecessary mistakes. Because some universities, because they get such a high influx of students applying, if they see a mistake, some will really not care to tell you and they'll just throw away your application. So please make sure that you're reading the instructions carefully and you don't leave anything out, and you do it correctly the first time around. Please constantly check up on your applications. Most students get very relaxed and they're like, the university is taking their time and that sort of thing. If by the time you get to September, October, the university hasn't given you some sort of status with your application, whether it's in progress or something is wrong with your application and that sort of thing, please make sure that you are following up and finding out where your application is, because sometimes there might actually be something wrong with your application. There's a document missing, there was some incorrect information and that sort of thing, and some universities don't always get time to give you feedback on that. So it is your responsibility to check up on your university. Please make sure that you keep a receipt of all these documents, because should anything happen with your application, you need to have proof of who you spoke to, what information they gave you, and how that affected your application. You can listen to my sort of how I got into university and the whole struggle that went with it, and you understand the importance of having a record of all communication that you receive from your university. So after you've finished your application, everything has been sent in and you're just waiting for feedback, it is time to do your financial applications. Whether this is you reaching out to different companies, bursaries that are available, just all the applications that are related to financials, you need to start doing that as soon as possible. And should you need to get an extra job and that sort of thing, you need to sort out your application and the finance related to it. Down in the description box, I'll give you a link to the possible university costs that you might have that you need to consider, and you need to start planning your budget, because you really do not want to get accepted at a university and you cannot take your place because you do not have the funding for it. Another important thing you need to know when you're applying is you'll be required to write what is known as an NBT test, or a national benchmark test. This is a test that the university uses to measure how well you'll be able to deal with tertiary or university work. You'll be required to write an English or an AQL and a mathematics test. This test, personally, in my own opinion, they were hard, so you really have to study hard for them. You need to book in advance. It's not a thing where you just arrive and you write. You go on the NBT test website and you book your test according to the nearest location, because you write it at a separate venue than your school. So you book for it, and then there's a application fee that you have to pay. Then they will give you confirmation of the date, time, and location where you write that test, and you write both your English and your maths test on the same day. Those are very important tests that you need to do for your applications. Some universities will require you to have it, but some will not. So rather just do an NBT test so that it covers you for all your universities, and you do not have to give the results to your university. The university receives the result from the National Benchmark Test team, but they will require you to give them your application number, your NBT test number, and that's how they'll follow up on your results. And the very last thing I can tell you regarding this is enjoy the process. This is going to be the first time for most of you where you're going to be doing adult things. Like, they're going to be requiring you to open a bank account. They're going to be requiring you to, be independent, because most of these applications you're going to be doing it by yourself or with a friend and that sort of thing. So enjoy the process. It really is a fun experience, looking at the different universities and imagining where you might be next year and that sort of thing. So it's a growth process, and if you can conquer applications, trust me, you can conquer anything, because applications are stressful. That much I would tell you, they really are stressful, because there's a lot of unknowns. You don't know if you're gonna get in and that sort of thing. So if you can embrace the whole challenges that come with it, trust me, you will do great. So these were my tips for how to survive application season. If you have any more questions, you're more than welcome to drop them down in the comment section, or you can send me a message on Instagram or Facebook at Silibaziso Mupereki. Until next time, have an awesome semester. Bye guys.